Hey, welcome to another edition of Frequently Asked Questions Friday, where I answer your questions that I am often getting, whether it's in the Facebook group or via email. And today's question is one that I get quite frequently. And so I want to help you out with this because I have over, I would say, 10 years of corporate sales experience. I have sold in a variety of mediums. I've sold in suburbs. I have sold in the streets of New York City, all the different suburbs. And so I want to help you and give you that knowledge and what I have learned, what works when it comes to nutraMetrix and what doesn't work. For any of you who haven't met me yet, my name is Sarah Tugender, National Sales Manager, helping you make this year your most efficient and effective with nutraMetrix. And I don't know, if you're like me, I'm a mom now. So when I started my nutraMetrix career, I was actually a college student. So I went from a college student to a recently graduated broke college student to then making some money in corporate America. Shifted my focus. I was a newlywed and then I was a new mom. And so I've sort of been in a lot of different stages as a nutraMetrix consultant. Sometimes I have had more time where I am just out and about in the community. And there's been some other times, like especially being a new mom, where I just felt a little more hunkered down at home. And now, like you, I mean, I feel all the time like I have no time. Like, you know, you look down at your clock. I scheduled this to do this for you guys at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I think it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's like between changing diapers and eating meals and answering other things that are coming up, like where does the time go? And so one of the biggest things I think people are asking with, do you walk into an office or do you pick up the phone, is where am I not going to waste some time? So I want to answer that for you. The other thing I think that we worry about is rejection. So, you know, I want you just to let's level set expectations here. Like, what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that they'd say no, that you'd be rejected in some sort of way. So what I suggest is that you really learn to love the process rather than the results. And if you fall in love with this process and we can learn from every time, we can tweak some things, and this can help you measure and monitor the true success of your nutraMetrix business and what you're doing. Okay, so let's get right into it. So let's talk about some of the benefits to walking into practices. Because I believe if you're new, if you either just came off of a training, maybe I've seen you in the past year, whether it's Cherry Hill, St. Petersburg, or you just joined us in Indianapolis. If you're new and you've yet to work with accounts, I think that you should start by walking into accounts. Why do I say that? I think it's definitely scarier for sure, and there's going to be that sort of level of fear because it's that face-to-face interaction. You have to go up and you have to see someone, and they're going to sort of give you a response, and it's either going to validate what you're doing or totally crush you. I understand. That's why I need to remind you to really fall in love with this process, not with the outcome, and we can help you a little bit more with that. The reason why I think if you're new, it's better for you to walk into accounts is because I think that you're going to learn the myriad of objections and questions that we get when we're out in the field. And I think the fastest way to learn that natural volley and dialogue of what is said when you go on a sales call like that is to walk into a bunch of them. And then we can flip to how this is actually going to help you later on with when you pick up the phone. So I think if you're new, that's where you want to start. One of the other benefits, I think, to walking in as opposed to picking up the phone is you have a greater ability to make a friend. And we need to get some allies while we're trying to build some accounts. So whether this is a doctor's office and you meet the front desk staff, who, let me give you a secret, a lot of times they can often be a spouse or a family member of the practitioner. So sometimes that can be a really good thing, sometimes it can't be such a great thing, but anytime that you can find an ally, it's really helpful for you. And so walking in helps you with that. Maybe it's a medical assistant, maybe it's the office manager, maybe it's a business partner, or hey, heck, you might even meet the decision maker, the health professional themselves by walking in. And you might be less likely to do that by picking up the phone. Can't tell you, I mean, the last walk-in that I did when I was out in the field, and the front desk secretary said, if you just hold on 1 minute, I'll be able to get the owner. He happens to be in today. It's like jackpot. We went right to the decision maker. And so that's really great. You know, and I think that it's that know, like, and trust factor. They're going to end up, you know, buying from you, and they're going to trust you. And so when you can have that personal face-to-face interaction, sometimes it is a little bit easier to get a little further along faster when you're doing these walk-ins. But you know what? We don't always have time, you know, and I think that if you're working a 9 to 5, start by the area around your office, you know, and are there offices that you can sneak into before office hours, during lunch break, or even after office hours? Do a little searching in your area, figure out if there's any complementary and alternative practitioners like your chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists who maybe see some patients after hours. And maybe walking in during the day and saying, I could be back tomorrow after 5 if that's convenient for you. And so there are some benefits, like I said, to doing that, where those might be times when their phones are off, but they are still in the office seeing patients. And so you're going to find some allies. There is that ability that you can meet the decision maker, and you're going to figure out exactly what that natural dialogue and volley is. That's just going to help you with the process, especially if you're new. But it can be time consuming. There's a lot of what we call windshield time, where you're driving, you know, back and forth, you know, to different practitioners' offices. And you're going to want to review some notes in the car just to get into the practice and to say what you want to say. I did this recently, and I was, you know, in one part of town, and there was someone I identified that I wanted to go into, and she was on the other part of town. You know, when all is said and done, that took me an extra 45 minutes out of my day with traffic, with parking, with finding the practitioner in this big medical office building. You know, it can be really time consuming, where if you were picking up the phone, you could get to a lot more practitioners in a shorter period of time. And so maybe my suggestion to you would be find that Main Street USA, where that block is, where you can hit up 4 or 5 different practices all at once. Find that medical office building where you can identify a few different practitioners and hit them up, you know, all at the same time. And that's one way to condense time. But sometimes, you know, some of the better practitioners are sort of in these freestanding buildings. They're sole practitioners. They really want to keep their overhead low. And sometimes those big medical office buildings can have some really high overhead. You know, there's pros and cons to this whole thing. Let's talk about, on the phone, some benefits. The first benefit is you can get through a lot more accounts a lot faster. But that being said, you might hear some weirder things. You know, when we can remain anonymous on the other end of the phone, you know, when you can hear me but you can't see me, you might have, you know, be more likely to say things to me that you wouldn't say directly to my face. And so you might hear some stranger responses. You might get hung up on. You might hear flat out, no, we're not interested. You might get confused for something that you're not. And it can be a little bit more discouraging, but at the same time, you can get through these numbers a little bit faster. So that's a benefit as well. I think no matter what, whether you're new or experienced with nutraMetrix, if you hear anywhere from maybe 3 to 5 either flat out no's or strange responses when you're either walking into offices or when you're picking up the phone, that's where you need to, like, stop in your tracks, stop what you're doing, and either call your senior business partner, call your associate, or get on the Facebook group. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what you're saying, and let us know what the response has been, because maybe there's something that you're saying that's eliciting this strange response, or that's eliciting this no that you're hearing. And so just be aware of that. You're definitely going to hear some stranger things by picking up the phone. Personally, what do I like to do? I like to do a blend of both, just honestly depending on my schedule and my time at this point. So if I can, I do like to walk in first or meet them at a networking event, meet them somewhere face to face. At that time, I will typically follow up with a phone call to get another scheduled walk-in. This might not be a scheduled discovery meeting. It might just be a scheduled walk-in to book another appointment. And that's why, if you haven't watched already my video that I have on the 7 words to score the appointment every time, you're going to want to watch that. It's on Meet On. If you just put in Tugender, Tugender, crazy on a Friday. You never know what I'm going to say with our frequently asked question Fridays. But if you put in my name, you'll see all of my meet-ons. You should be able to find that one. It was pretty popular. And that's what I would do there. I would call, I would use my script for the 7 words to score the appointment every time, and then go back into the office. If you did a series of walk-ins, and that's the way that you want it to stay, in my professional sales experience, it's going to take anywhere from 3 to 7 walk-ins sometimes for you to be able to even book that first appointment. So there's going to be some times where it's, what we call in the industry a one-call close. I don't think with nutraMetrix you can do literally a one-call close, because we do have a call continuum. We do have a process of meetings, but I definitely think you could do a discovery meeting on the spot. And I think then you're going to have to go home and take some time for the customized proposal. So there's going to be times you're going to walk in, you're going to do a discovery meeting on the spot. That's not something that would necessarily happen over the phone. But to be able to call and to say, can I come back in? Can I see you? And knowing it's going to take that 3 to 7 times. You can make it a blend of walk-ins, and you can make it a blend of phone calls. And I also suggest doing that as you're building up rapport with the entire office. I think when you come from a place of this is who you are, and you use your I am, I implement statement, and then you just say what you need to do, that you need to book this appointment. This is the process. This is what you're looking to do. This is, you've identified, this account as one that you would like to know a little bit more about, that you want to discover if there's any needs, or if you can just help promote them, as you go about and you work within this industry. It's always nice from a networking perspective. I think whatever, you just need to ask for that appointment. A, B, C, always be closing. And for us, the closing is just closing them to the next step, where either at some point you're going to say, this isn't a fit for you, or they're going to say this isn't a fit for me. And you guys are going to go your separate paths, and maybe you'll follow back up later. But I think right now, the combination of both, and there's going to be some people, if you're on a streak and you haven't had much luck on the phone, switch back into going back into offices. Maybe you just need to see what an office looks and feels like again, so you can kind of figure out how to tweak what you're saying. And if you're having trouble, walking into places, then do that and pick up the phone. When I try to book on the phone, I'll give people options. I'm going to be in your area. Would it be better on Tuesday or Thursday? I can do on Tuesday, I can do before lunch, but on Thursday I can do after lunch. I'm going to see so-and-so, next door anyways. And so I don't really think that there's one way to do it. People have success with both ways. We've met some great accounts with both ways of on the phone and in person. And so whatever works for you is going to be great. I'm here. I just want to help save you some time, save you some energy. And the biggest thing is just keeping your spirits up with this whole thing. Having fun. Trusting the process, because that's what's going to give you some great results, is just doing it and doing it and doing it and playing those numbers. Because I can tell you guys that this right here, it's better than the lottery. It's better than flipping houses, investing in real estate. I've done that. My husband and I, we've invested thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into real estate. We've invested a lot of time into that. And we always knew that that was a build out. That was something that it was going to pay us later. And it had big risks for okay rewards. And what is it? Walking out and seeing 10 offices, that gives you an even better odds of having success here with nutraMetrix. It's just about you staying consistent, staying in the game. There's practitioners out there that need you. they're looking for this. And so I'm here just to help you to kind of navigate through, answer some of your questions for you. Again, my name is Sarah Tugender. I'm the National Sales Manager. If you have a question that you would like to be featured on our Frequently Asked Question Friday, just email that in to nutraMetrix at nutrametrix.com with the subject line, Frequently Asked Question Friday, and I'll be sure to answer that question on an upcoming episode. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.